Aloha, my name is Dr. Fisher, and today I'm going to be talking to you about argumentative writing. All right, so argumentative writing is one of my favorite ways to write, and my students absolutely loved argumentative writing, and they asked me to share some things with you. So the first thing we want to do is to read the prompt carefully and break down exactly what to write. My students recommended that you read each source and assess its credibility, so that you're not wasting time on sources that are not credible. For example, you want to find .edu, .gov, .org, but you want to stay away from Wikipedia, student blogs, student papers, anything that's not published, those types of works. For you, sometimes you feel overwhelmed when you're writing a paper, like I just don't even know where to begin. I have so much information. How do I even do this? So what they recommended that I talked to you about is that you take 3 pieces of paper. And one piece of paper you're going to put your notes on. Second piece of paper you're going to put all your body paragraphs on. And the last paper you're going to put your introduction and conclusion on. So let's look at what that would look like. So I'm going to just cut to that. So here's how we create a graphic organizer. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of paper, fold it in half, and fold it in half again and bend the corner. After we do that, when we unfold it, then it looks like a diamond. That diamond is going to end up being what we're going to write our brainstormed evidence on. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put a diamond in the middle, and we are going to draw lines out to the side. So now we have 4 quadrants, and in the middle we're going to put our claim. So whatever our claim is, that's what we're going to write in there. We're going to be taking notes on our 4 sources that we have, and in each note section we're going to put the title and then take notes by paragraph, 5 words at a time. So for example, paragraph 1, and then we jot just 5 words. And then source 2, title, and again, source 3. And then if you have a 4th source, then you would use this space for your 4th source, but usually one of the 4 sources will be not credible, and you'll only end up with 4 sources that you're going to be using. So then in your workspace, this would be your workspace for you to work out what you're going to be writing about. So now we have our title and our notes, and then our workspace here, we're going to categorize what is going to be our 3 reasons for our claim and our 1 reason for the counterclaim. So here's an example where we have source 1, source 2, source 3, and source 4 all listed on here. And as we went through, we found that one was a student blog, so that became no longer a viable source, so we got rid of that one. And after we took our notes with our jot dots, notice that we put the title of each one of our sources on here, and then we put if it was for or against with the little plus or minus, that we categorized after we took notes. For every paragraph we don't have notes. We only took notes for what made sense for the topic that we were looking at. In this case, it was looking at cell phone usage in school, for or against it. And this paper is going to be written about students should not bring cell phones to school. This was not a viable source, so this became our workspace. And you can see that there's a color code here, but if you're only using pencil, then if you just circle it, you can put numbers next to it so you know which one it goes with, so that you can find, well, what's my claim reason 1? That's in yellow here. What's my claim reason 2? Those are in pink. Claim reason 3, that's in orange. So after we have taken all of our notes, we organize our outline so that we know we're going to renumber our reasons in a way that we save our strongest reason for last, so that it can serve as our rebuttal to the counterclaim. So we'll rewrite our categorized evidence into our another. So our evidence is now going to be rewritten into another folded, diamond-shaped piece note paper. Each body paragraph that we have is going to have in it a topic sentence evidence. We'll always explain our evidence, and then at least one of our claims are going to have a real world example. But because you guys are grades 6 through 11, you should have 2 pieces of evidence in each body paragraph, and after each piece of evidence, explain the evidence, which we will do in the graphic organizer. For your, now we're not going to call these body paragraphs, we're actually going to call them sections, right? So you have your claim reason 1 section, claim reason 2 section, counterclaim section, then your claim reason 3 section. And the reason why we're calling them sections and not paragraphs is I don't want you to have this idea in your head that this is this format you can't put in 2 paragraphs if you need 2 paragraphs. You don't want a full page paragraph. You want to break them up where they make sense. And for each piece of evidence, you can start a new paragraph so that you're putting in that piece of evidence and explaining that piece of evidence, and then moving to the next piece. So let's talk about our counterclaim for a moment. When you're looking at the opposing viewpoint of our counterclaim, you must, starting from 7th grade, by the way, 7th, 8th, and 11th. So 6th grade, you're off the hook. You don't have to do a counterclaim. You should still, I would still address it, but you don't have to go into as much in depth as the 7th, 8th, and 11th graders do. So for 7th, 8th, and 11th graders, this paragraph, I always started off with, however, not everyone agrees with this stance. So you just said your claim, right? You're talking about your claim, you're for 2 different reasons. And now, not everyone agrees with this stance. Some people think that cell phones should be allowed in the school. So some are in opposition and think that cell phones should be allowed in school. And then you add your evidence and explain. So they think that they should be allowed in school because of safety and peace of mind for parents. Although this is a valid counterclaim, in rebuttal, an even stronger reason for not having cell phones in school is equality. And now I want you to notice this or. So now I said in rebuttal. So what I did was when it's in rebuttal, then you can just say your next strong one. You don't have to say what's wrong with their argument. If you said in refutation, a refutation to this counterclaim, now you're refuting something they said is wrong. So you're proving something they said false. So look down here. Refute proves false. Rebut is to offer an alternative argument. And they make sense because refute sounds like I refuse to believe that. Let me tell you why you're wrong. And rebut sounds like, but an even stronger reason why you should. So, although you got a good point, but I still think I'm right because of the stronger reason. So remember that the rebuttal just gives that next stronger reason. The refutation argues against their point. All right. So in our outline draft that we have here, what we're going to do is we are going to, so fold your paper, and then here, notice what we have. We have our claim. You have a transition to reason 1. You always have your evidence. What source did you get it? What paragraph was it in? Then you put it right in here. Then you explain your source. This means, and you always go back to the claim. This means cell phones should not be allowed in school because, and then you give your evidence for the same topic, right? Additionally, this can be seen in source 3, paragraph whatever, that also talks about this distraction, whatever the first one was, that it's distracting both in and out of class. Outside of class where they don't make as many friends because they're busy doing, this is my favorite cat, by the way. He just brought me this. Look at this cat. Oh my gosh, you gotta meet this cat. Oh, come here, mister. Oh, look at this cat. This is a monster. This is my baby. He's a Maine Coon, and he is so soft. He is so soft. love you so much. Oh, I love you so much. Oh, thanks for bringing this to me. What is it? Do you want me to throw it? You want to go? Oh, you're going to go. I'm going to catch it. Don't scratch me. Ready? Hold, I'll throw it. Ready? Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. You're falling. Okay, ready? Go ahead. Go ahead. All right. You guys just don't even know. I'm really having a hard time even focusing right now because I got my other cat just sitting there looking at me like, what? You're playing with him and not with me? All right, hold on. I'm going to show you this guy. So this is Mr. Cooper. Mr. Cooper is 2 years old and he is a monster cat. He's huge. So big. Oh, he's this big. It's huge. Humongous cat. And he's a good boy. He is. He's like, Mama, play with me. Play with me. All right, stop distracting me. Trying to work with the kids. All right. Okay, so back to this. Okay, so we are following the same pattern each time. We have our claim, reason 1, claim, reason 2, claim, reason 3, our counterclaim, claim, reason 3, our strongest one. We always start with a transition. We have our reason, our counterclaim reason, and then always put in evidence, explain the evidence, a second piece of evidence, and explain that piece of evidence. And then a transition sentence to the next body paragraph. So let's look what that looks like as we start to highlight these. You see the transitions and the transition sentences. And even in our counterclaim, we state in our transition sentence, although this is a valid position. So we always validate that counterclaim. And then we go back to our claim. Cell phones should not be allowed in school because. And now the next thing that's highlighted is purple, where we have our reason 1, reason 2, counterclaim reason, and reason 3. And then our evidence, remember you're putting in 2 pieces of evidence, and after each piece of evidence, we're explaining the evidence. And it's difficult to explain evidence unless you just follow this structure. This means, and then go back to the claim, cell phones should not be allowed in school because, and then you explain it. And this shows cell phones should not be allowed in school because. This demonstrates why cell phones should not be allowed in school because. This illustrates why cell phones should not be allowed in school because. This suggests, and now this is the counterclaim, cell phones should be allowed. So when we say this counterclaim, we call it suggests instead of shows, means, illustrates, demonstrates, proves. This we're saying suggests, meaning that perhaps they may be wrong. So that's why we say suggests. All right. And we always give one real life example in there. All right. And now for our introduction and our conclusion. So I'm going to show you that by showing you the piece of paper because that's going to make it easier because I worked this out for you. So you fold the paper in half and then you draw very, very unstraight line there. You draw a line down it, and now you're going to put, on one side it's going to be your introduction, on the other side it's going to be the conclusion. And then if you just write in the elements that you have to have, you know that you have to have a hook. You have to have background context. This is the introduction, okay? So the hook, background context, 2 or more sentences. It has to be a full background context. So currently there is a debate about some feel this while other people feel this. And so a really well thought out background context. Then you put in your claim. However, cell phones should not be, or cell phones, don't even say however, you just say cell phones should not be allowed in school. Period. That's your claim. Then you preview your claim reasons in a sentence each. And while some people think cell phones are added distraction, cell phones are a negative distraction, or a positive distraction. Cell phones are a negative distraction. In addition, cell phones create inequality amongst students, and then, because I'm saving that misuse for last, and then here, Although some would argue that cell phones are a great safety addition in school. And now back to our real reason, right? Our biggest reason. The social emotional damage cell phones can do, or the misuse of cell phones and the damage it can do, is undeniably makes cell phone usage something that should not happen in school. So now I tried to not say first, next, last, if you noticed. I was trying to use subordinating conjunctions when I was saying them. And then you transition to body paragraph 1, and you can do that just by saying, let's take a look at cell phone usage as it appears in source 1, right? And then that way you're introducing it without introducing the claim, and then it doesn't sound redundant when you go into that first body paragraph. And remember, the order that we said is a great order to put it in is claim, reason 1, claim, reason 2, counterclaim, then refute or rebut it, whichever one makes the most sense to you. I like to just rebut it, so I like to just say an even stronger reason why, so that I just give credit to it, say yes, it is a good reason, yes, it's valid, but an even stronger reason for not having cell phones in school is the social emotional toll that it takes on students, and then go into that. So, because then that way I don't have to figure out what's wrong with their argument. Instead, I can just talk about my most strongest point. All right, and then in the conclusion, the great thing about the conclusion is you're going to have that transition of in conclusion, restated past tense. So we said cell phones should not be allowed in school. We have seen that cell phones should not be allowed in school. Now you don't want to, I said we have seen that cell phones should not be allowed in school, or schools should not allow cell phone usage. So then it's in a different order, right? So now we did the backwards order. So we flipped it. I usually would tell my students to flip the order. So in that one, if you said cell phones should not be allowed in school, this time you're saying in schools, cell phones should not be allowed. Get it? Flipped it. But, and then explain. Oh, good, with an M. Explain what is important to remember, to recall about claim 1. It's important to remember that the distractions that happen with cell phones can have students fall behind their peers. The second one, equality. The cost of cell phones makes, it's important to remember that the cost of cell phones makes it impossible for everybody to stay up with the latest version, and this could cause jealousy and or judgment. And then finally, or counterclaim, you want to put that in. Although some do argue that cell phones are there for safety, this is a valid argument. However, it is most important to remember that the emotional toil that the student, that are social emotional damage done to students from misuse and cyberbullying, and is paramount to why we should not allow cell phones in school. Paramount, back to important, right? So then you have your call to action. So join my voice in arguing, and if you look back here, I do have different ways to say, here we go. Join me in fighting for, raise your voices for, together we can stop, let this paper inspire you too, let's make a difference, spread the truth, that. So I just want to put those in case you needed a reminder of how to put in those call to action. All right, so now in color, you can see that we put in our hook and our call to action. We put in that background context, 2 or more sentences explaining what's going on currently. There's a debate about that. We have our claim, our restated claim, where we flip the order and put it in past tense. Then we have all 3 of our reasons for our claim. In this case, we talk about their importance in the conclusion. Here, we're just trying to state them in a non-formulaic way, so we're not saying first, next, last. We're trying to use those subordinated conjunctions. Although, after, unless, until, when, whenever, then, that, because, before, wherever, while, whether, since, as if, as much as, upon, if, where, as soon as, in order, that, at least, and so, that, as though, as long as, aboard, amid, beyond, but like, past, and, through, throughout, underneath, until, as for, instead of, according to. So any of those words, if you have those leading those sentences, then it will not be formulaic. All right. And then you, of course, will edit your paper and revise it, check your spelling, punctuation, and grammar. Did you replace weak words with stronger words, more specific words? Did you read your essay out loud to hear if it flows smoothly? All right, so that is what you're going to put into your argumentative essay. Thank you so much for joining me, and remember to do your punctuation. Have a great day.